So what do we do when we're dealing with a person that we love or are caring for, and we're in that caregiving role, and the person also happens to have a psychological diagnosis or is dealing with some mental health issues or maybe even addiction issues? This is very difficult and a very delicate tightrope to balance. And the first step is acknowledging it. I think we have to acknowledge that this is more than caregiving. This is also layered with some other issues that we have to be aware of. I know that I've taken care of people that are in both of those situations. They both have a physical illness and a mental health diagnosis. And it's very important to be able to take care of that mental health diagnosis as it changes throughout the physical illness, because it does complicate things. It makes things much more difficult. And it can be very easy for us to take full responsibility for that when maybe we don't have the capacity to deal with it. So my advice is to let yourself get help with this. Do not hesitate to ask for help, to ask for backup, to get psychological support there, not only for the person that is dealing with the mental health diagnosis, but also for you in that caregiving role, because it does become complicated. That's one of the things we do at the Center for Living with Dying program, is we support caregivers that are dealing with individuals that have a mental health diagnosis in addition to. Because it can be very difficult as a person is moving through the dying process, and they're also maybe perhaps dealing with an addiction issue. It can be very easy to say, oh, just go ahead and we'll let you have whatever your addiction is. But that's something that really needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed, because it may be on a soul level really eating away at this person's progress if they become newly sober or clean or whatever. So it needs to be dialogued with. We can't just say, oh, they're dying, so just go ahead and give them all the things they want. We need to ask them, what does their heart, what does their soul, what does their spirit want as they're doing this journey? How do they want to do this journey? It's questions that need to be explored, and we need to explore them honestly. How can I support you? We need to ask that question specifically and explicitly as a caregiver. Do you want me just to be your yes person? Or do you want me to call you on your stuff when it comes up? Or what do you want me to do? We need to really define our roles. When the person is lucid and in a moment where they can actually be able to identify it. And when they're not, we need to have a triage system set up so that we can be taken care of. So we need to have individuals available to us that can provide immediate psychological support if the person goes into a psychological episode, or if we need support because it's just become too hard. When an individual could potentially become violent, we need to have those resources immediately available to us and to not put ourselves at risk. So that means that if we have a sense that a person could potentially become violent, or if we're getting an intuitive sense that things are not going well, because if a person has a delusional episode or a psychotic break, they're not aware of who we are. We may be, and we may represent somebody in something entirely different. So we need to be able to have immediate support and intervention, and we need to be able to have a way where we can get ourselves to safety first. Because the bottom line is, our safety comes first, and if we do that on a soul level, we're actually supporting the person that we're helping in the best way. Because if they do something violent, when they're in a more stable moment, they're going to feel incredibly badly that they did what they did. So if we put our safety first and then their safety, get the support to them as quickly as possible, it makes it possible for us to feel more safe and secure, having a plan in place, and also on a soul level helps them, because then they're empowered to know that, okay, my person that's caregiving me is going to be taken care of, and I'm potentially not going to be hurting them when I'm out of my mind.